Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell, and I'm going to be talking about the FBI and their comment about Trump and his wound on his ear. But before I do that, can you please make sure that you subscribe to all my channels? I have 4 channels on YouTube, Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. All the links are in the description of this video. Please click those links and subscribe. In addition, you can follow me on X and on GETTR. Link is in the description of this video. If you would like to help support my work, you can donate on my website, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and you can donate through Stripe, PayPal, or Buy Me a Coffee. The links are on the homepage at the very bottom. So I also sell supplements that will help to boost up your immune system, slow down the aging process, and increase your longevity. You can get products like the toothpaste that I have. This toothpaste has no fluoride in it. It's the best toothpaste that you're going to be able to get. It has structural nanosilver in it. And by using this toothpaste, you're going to neutralize pathogens. You're going to whiten your teeth, freshen your breath, reduce that gum inflammation. And with proper, good oral hygiene, you're going to be able to get better cardiovascular health and reduce valvular disease. So please go to my store and get the toothpaste. This toothpaste is the best toothpaste you're going to get. Get a few tubes of this for your household. It's a very high quality toothpaste. In addition, because we're going to be moving into the cold season in September and October, and people get allergies even this time of the year, please go to the store and get the drops or the lozenges that I have. I have it in blueberry in a 100 count. I have the elderberry zinc in a 21 count lozenges. And I also have the honey lemon drops in a 100 count. So get the lozenges and the drops. What it'll do, the moment you start feeling a little bit of a irritation or a tingling in your throat, take the drops or the lozenges, get those secretions going to protect the mucosal barrier and to help to neutralize pathogens. In addition, you should be taking structural nanosilver liquid every day. I take a teaspoon of it a day. You can get the 30 ppm version that I have that's in my hand, or you can get the 14 ppm version here, or the Max 35 is the 35 ppm version. Each one is a different price point with a different ppm. So take a teaspoon of it a day, or take a tablespoon or 2 a day if you're not feeling well. What you do is you swish it in your mouth for about 20 seconds, gargle with it 20 seconds, and swallow. It will help to neutralize pathogens and help boost up your immune system. I have a great product on my store that's new. It's olive leaf extract, and this is going to help your immune system and your circulatory system. So take this every day. This is a supplement that you should be adding to your protocol, your daily routine. So go to the store and get the olive leaf extract. I also have structural nanosilver drip gels. The structural nanosilver gel will neutralize pathogens. Put it on your hands, around your mouth, around your nose, around your ears, around your eyes, lightly coat your nostrils. It'll stay active for 5 hours. You can use it as a skincare product, or you leave it on your skin overnight, and then you exfoliate, and your skin will be clearer and tighter. It'll help with acne, and in addition, what it'll do is help to heal a wound, such as an abrasion or a cut or a minor burn. So use this as a skincare product also. And I have it in the tube form and also in the dispenser form here. So you can get the structural nanosilver gels that I have on my store. The ones that are purchasing the liquids, please get a pack, if you don't have it already, of the applicator. All right, it's a 3-pack. You get a spritzer, a dropper, and a nasal spray. This is great, so you can put the liquid in the liquid from these containers. Instead of carrying this to your work or carrying it around in a bag, what you should do is you put it in these containers here, and you can spray surfaces or spray the back of your throat or put drops in your throat, use it as a nasal spray. It's a great way to carry the structural nanosilver liquid with you. That said, I want to just do a quick monologue here. When the FBI had their questioning in Congress, the head of the FBI, the head deputy, I'm not sure which it was, stated that maybe a bullet didn't hit Trump's ear. All right. Then Trump went on the media complaining about the FBI, and then the FBI was forced to clarify their statement. The deep state has been going after Trump ever since he was running for office in 2016. All right. And then the moment he was in office, they kept on going after him. This includes the FBI, the CIA, members of Congress. I mean, it's been nothing but lawfare and false information and attacks. Well, there's some really strange things that are happening with this assassination, and we have to kind of go back. And I'm not going to do all the assassination attempts for the presidents, but I want to go through some that have been successful and some that are more tied to this Tecumseh curse that John Hogue has been talking about. And the Tecumseh curse is basically a curse that a Indian, his name's Tecumseh, that cursed the United States because of destroying his people. Now, it seems to be happening every 20-year, every generation, every 20-year cycle. And it seems to be in a period of time where it's like a has a zero in the date of the year for presidential election. All right, so Abraham Lincoln, all right, died within that 1860 election cycle, right? So he wins the election in 1860. And then he dies after the war. He wins the second election and he dies shortly after. So there was this, he's kind of like part of this curse, all right? Now, it's not so much the Tecumseh curse that I'm focusing on. It's really the issue with the head or the heart, okay? Now, Abraham Lincoln was shot, right? And he was shot by the left ear, okay? Kennedy was shot, and it was the side of his head, and that side of his head would have been his right side. Now, before Kennedy, there was a president that was ailing, right? And that was during World War II, that was FDR. Now, FDR, he died from heart disease. But what's interesting is that it started as a severe head pain behind his ear. All right. And then shortly after that, he dies. So, and I'm not sure if it was a cerebral hemorrhage or what, but he passed away. But it started as a severe headache or head pain, all right, while he was meeting with some people. So you have this behind the ear head kind of situation with Lincoln, with Kennedy, with FDR, and the outlier was Reagan, where it was shot in the chest, lodged in the lung, not too far away from the heart. So if I remember right, I thought it was lodged in the lung, but all right, maybe it was outside the lung organ, but I think it was lodged in the lung. But the point here is that it's close to the heart, but the outlier is it wasn't the head. All right. The incident with Trump just barely nicked his ear. It was his right side. And if he just moved just slightly towards, towards his right, he would have been hit. Or if he just tilted the angle of his head just a little bit differently, he would have been hit. So it's a miracle. And this nation would be in mourning with the loss of a president. Now, I think that there are a few things that we need to kind of focus on here. One is that the vitriol and the hate of a president, no matter who it is, Republican, Democrat, male, female, doesn't matter. We need to tone the vitriol down and respect the office of the presidency, even if you don't respect the person in the office as a person. You don't like their personality or their policy or whatever. The presidency, the office of the presidency needs to be respected. In addition, the ones that are in the office of the presidency needs to respect the office. So the population needs to respect the office, and the holders of the office need to respect the office. And that means not acting like a king or a queen and using executive orders that are out of control. But what I find that is happening is that people don't like to respect the office if they don't like the person in there. So I think we need to tone it down and kind of be a little bit more civil. And this election cycle doesn't seem to be toning down. This nation could have been in a much different situation where we could have lost a former president during a campaign. So we definitely need to tone it down. There looks to be, to me, from my estimation, to be huge failures of security and around Trump, where it lend itself to having a situation like this popping up. The problem is that it seems as though it was not just dereliction of duty, but high potentiality of some sort of inside kind of operation. There's a lot of talk about a second shooter, or, and all this stuff. Who knows? Was the water tower involved, like some of the individuals that were on site being interviewed the day of the shooting? They said that it looked like the water tower was involved. The spotters in the other building didn't, said they didn't see this guy, or did see it, or why didn't they take him out? It just seems like there was a colossal security failure, poor executive management, poor administrative management. There's DEI involved. We already have the Secret Service director stepping down, but there's also this orchestrated effort to try to delegitimize or de-emphasize the event, making it seem that it wasn't that bad, by complaining that Trump's ear is healing too fast, or it was shrapnel versus a bullet. But the thing is there's a deep state that's attacking them. And this is tied into the same issues with some of the presidents that I just mentioned. Lincoln, like I said, there's a pattern here. You have the assassinations or the assassination attempts. And most of them are related to headshots, right? And involving the ear, back of the head, all this stuff, right? So obviously Lincoln was being attacked by a deep hate from the Confederacy losing the election. That deep hate, but not the election, the Civil War. That deep hate goes from when Lincoln was shot in 1864 all the way 100 years later, almost 100 years later, to Kennedy, and he gets shot. And I think a lot of the experts that are tied to studying the assassination attempt or the assassination of Kennedy was deep state related, right? I don't know if it was deep state related with RFK, probably was, but there was this CIA deep state, but also because of the civil liberties bills that they were talking about trying to push through Congress. Southern senators and Southern governors, Southern states were still pushing an anti-civil liberties agenda and was trying to stonewall the Kennedys, the Kennedy administration from increasing civil liberties, right? The civil rights movement. So the Kennedys were trying to move in the direction of civil liberties for blacks. So the civil rights movement, but these ingrained senators, right, and Southern states was pushing back. It was a deep state going on even back then, right, and very powerful senators. This alliance where LBJ was kind of straddling both sides of the fence, where he was a part of the deep South establishment, and then another foot in the Kennedy administration. So it makes him as an interesting character in this whole situation. But there was a deep state going after Kennedy at the CIA level, but also at the policy level regarding racial rights. So now, fast forward to, but even before Kennedy, there was Eisenhower, which that's the military industrial complex. But before that was Truman, and Truman brought in NATO. He was the president that dropped the bomb on Japan. He reluctantly, but did form the CIA. He was part of trying to get scientists and engineers from Germany into the United States and trying to whitewash their Nazi history through Operation Paperclip. So, a lot of this deep state stuff that's just starting to emerge is emerging during that transition from FDR to Truman. FDR didn't tell Truman anything about what was going on with the Manhattan Project, nor did he know anything about the actual peace negotiations. And then obviously FDR dies and Truman has to, deal with all this. So the deep state kind of is like emerging through World War II and is starting to solidify, starting to crystallize during the Truman administration. And through the Truman administration, the CIA is established. So, and NATO, all right? And there's kind of like, but it was based on this idea you have to fight the Russians because the Russians aren't backing off. And there was this kind of expansionism through Stalin with communism. All right. So this is the start. This is the beginnings of the of kind of like the Cold War. All right. Setting the stage for the Cold War. Now, some people would say, well, the Cold War was really, through maybe Eisenhower, but I would say that probably it's starting in Truman's administration. Now, this all right, so he is establishing this kind of like deep state thing, but he's also complaining about it, right? About the deep state. He saw secrecy, not being told what was going on in the FDR administration, even though he was vice president. He didn't know anything about this, right? So he had kind of a feel of like being in the dark, but then all of a sudden, rising to power because of death and just finding out what was really going on. So there's this kind of a deep secrecy kind of thing that was starting to establish. Now, fast forward to JFK. JFK obviously gets assassinated, but there was this problem with the CIA, with the Bay of Pigs and Dulles, and most likely the CIA took out JFK, maybe even RFK. All right. And then the assassination attempt, fast forward now the assassination attempt on Reagan. Now, Reagan may have been an outlier. It's not a headshot, it's a chest shot. Or the issue is, not the head, but the chest. And that sets in motion trying to de-escalate nuclear weapons with the Russians. Now, was he put aside? It's interesting that it's a Bush that's a vice president, right? Bush that's a vice president, Texan, Southern constituency. Deep state, Lyndon Johnson, Southern constituency, Texas, right? So there's a pattern. There's a pattern between LBJ and a pattern between George Bush Sr. There's a similarity. There are differences, but there are similarities, right? And they were part of a deeper establishment in the United States. Bush more on the side of intelligence, while LBJ was more, that deep South contingency. Now, all right, JFK gets shot, and LBJ gets into office, and it ramps up a war. And I wouldn't be surprised that there was a little bit more to the story with Reagan's assassination attempt to try to get a more established, intelligent figure in the office. But that didn't happen. Maybe it was luck, who knows? But it's something weird about Reagan's assassination attempt. I don't think it was just a lone wolf kind of situation. Something a little bit more to it. Something's a little bit more there. Now, with Trump, it's obvious that the establishment the swamp, the deep state, the national and security state. They don't want him. That's everyone knows that, all right? And they're trying to find ways to get rid of this guy, either through lawfare, through wearing him down, through fake dossiers, getting people in his cabinet that will prevent him from actually managing correctly through his term. So, but he's also a hard person to deal with too. So, maybe some of the problems that he has within his administrations, he's causing too. He's a chaotic individual, but there's a lot of similarities. A lot of people think Trump and Reagan. No. There's a Trump and Kennedy similarity that's deeper. Establishment of a wealthy family, very wealthy family with lots of kids. Creating a dynasty. That's a Kennedy kind of thing. Was in business to get his money. That's a Kennedy thing. So I see more similarities between Trump and the Kennedys, or John Day Trump and JFK than Reagan. Okay. If you look also with FDR, he died around 60, I think 63. He died. He really looks a lot older, especially the last couple of years of his life. And the wear of the war on his face is the same wear of the war with Lincoln. Lincoln and FDR are together. Now, a lot of people were making the connection between Lincoln and Kennedy. Now, I can understand that connection, because it was both the deep South going after them. But the facial look of the wear of the war on them was very similar between Lincoln and FDR. And this Kennedy aspect of the deep state and the CIA, FBI kind of thing with Trump. And I think we really need to pay attention to this. I know that people are doing some good work on investigative journalism and doing their podcasts and stuff about a second shooter and angles and everything about Crook and the shooter and all this stuff. All right. But people are missing that's the details. All that is the details. All right. We almost lost a former president and potentially the next president. We almost lost. And so this country could have been in major mourning and would have to search its soul that the country is getting out of control with demonizing candidates and not respecting the presidency of the United States. I mean, there's certain things you should be respecting. You need to respect the American flag, and you need to be respecting the offices of government. It doesn't mean that you have to respect the person or like the person, but you should respect the office and respect the flag. But what we have is a lot of people burning it down, putting up Palestinian flags and defacing monuments and all this stuff. That's just wrong. Maybe protected by freedom of speech to burn a flag, but it doesn't make it right. We're losing our connection with, again, I keep on saying this mantra, God, country, and family. So, in this sense, it's country. But there's a connection between Lincoln and FDR, especially with the facial expression. And there's this connection between Kennedy and Trump because of the deep state that they're dealing with. Now, obviously, Kennedy was a lot smarter than Trump, and Trump is there's a there's a chaoticness about him that's just amazing, and who knows? Maybe he'll win, maybe he won't. But the thing is that there are a lot of people that are focusing on the details of the assassination attempt. And this thing, trust me, this thing will go on for years. Years. Conspiracy theorists, books will be made about the attempted assassination on Trump and all this stuff, right? And there's going to be a lot. The people will have YouTube channels. They'll be talking about this, in nauseam. All right. But, and it would have been even worse if the shooter or shooters killed Trump. But, fortunately, we didn't have that situation. And, unfortunately, our psyche as humans always gravitates to the worst, more people would be involved in this if Trump died from it. And that's just the human nature of death and destruction. Kennedy became super famous because of the assassination. He may not have been as famous if it wasn't for the assassination. And that, unfortunately, is human emotional makeup. Fortunately, Trump survived because not only because I'm voting for him, but because he was a former president, and any former president shouldn't be assassinated, nor should a president be assassinated. So we should be thankful as a country. But there are these things that are happening that are similar. There's a similar thing going on with Trump as was going on with Kennedy. And there was this overexpansive, deep state, national security state, where even John F. Kennedy was saying that he was concerned and how easy it is for the Joint Chiefs of Staff to not listen to the president's command or circumvent it. That's known. That's not some sort of theory, some sort of like hypothesis, some sort of opinion. That's known fact. He was concerned about it and how easy it is. And it's a known fact and how Truman was worried about how the CIA was going to run amok and think that they can do whatever they want because not enough oversight. Or if there was oversight, they're just not telling the truth and there's no pushback by Congress. So these things, fast forward to today with Trump, they're coming to a head where there's not real oversight of the CIA. There's not real oversight of the national security state. If you have deep staters within the FBI or the CIA that do not like the candidate, but the people vote that candidate in as president, and that candidate doesn't want to follow in the same war posture, that candidate, that person in office may get knocked out by the national security state. And we're seeing this starting to happen. Now, was this just a random thing with Crook? Maybe, but I doubt it. I think there's something more systemic with what's going on with the FBI, the Secret Service at the high level. I'm talking about the high level. I don't think the agents that are protecting the president are bad people, but the administrative class within the FBI, the CIA, the Secret Service, all these different agencies, the NSA, all these different agencies, they're not on the side of Trump. And Trump needs to clean house. So we as a nation need to step back and pay attention to what is going on. But don't get into into the details where you can't, you can't see the forest through the trees, right? You have to, there is the zoom in moment where what exactly happened for the attempted assassination. Was it two shooters? What angle was it? Blah, 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 blah. All right, that's fine, but you're going to be doing that for years, trying to figure all that out. All right, and it doesn't get you anywhere. It's just like it doesn't really matter so much anymore about all the details about the crisis of 2020, and I've covered it. All right, I have thousands of videos on it. All right, thousands of videos on it. So and all these, but the big question that still hasn't been answered is, why did we not shut down the weapon labs? We didn't get to the root cause. The root cause for 2020 crisis was weapon development. The root cause of what happened on July 13th is not some guy on a sloped roof. The root cause is an out of control national security state. What are you doing to shut it down? And people that just focus on the details is missing the wider picture and eats the clock out, where it becomes a memory and people aren't galvanized to make real positive social change. So once again, we didn't learn our lesson in 2020, and we didn't learn our lesson in 2024 from the event that took place on January 13th, or on July 13th. We didn't, of 2024. We didn't get to the root cause. The root cause is the national security state having too much power. When something goes wrong because you create a chaos that allows some event to happen, and you're the agency that wants the chaos to happen. Oh, by the way, that agency is the FBI. And you're going to be the investigating authority on the event. Well, you can easily cover up your mistakes and sweep your steps. No one knows. You don't have an independent. This is where independent journalism, citizen journalism, comes in. And it's being able to prove that that there were seems like some grossly incompetent people were running the Secret Service. But there seems to be a cover-up with the FBI too, on top of looking at fake dossiers that the FBI was pushing, right? So we know that the deep state's been going after Trump. Does Trump do anything to stop it? Well, not really. He'll get in office and make the same stupid mistakes. If he can't do the right pick for the vice president, do you really think that he's going to be able to really clean house of the deep state? Yeah, right. Sometimes Trump's smart, but also stupid at the same time. His ego and his ambition, and sometimes it gets in the way. I'm still voting for Trump. But the thing is that sometimes he makes very bad decisions. He surrounds himself with the wrong people, and he knows what he needs to do, but he doesn't get it done. He goes right up to the line where he's about ready to actually get the stuff done that he needs to get done to make the country more prosperous and safe and viable and legitimate. And instead, he doesn't. Case in point, why didn't he give the papers of the JFK assassination completely instead of piecemeal it? He didn't, even though he said he would. But there is this connection between JFK and Trump and this whole deep state, right? And I think there's some lessons to be learned about these the curse and the issues with the head, right? So with that said, I'll play a video by Fox News, but I'd like to just plug some products here. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the resveratrol. This will help with senesced cells. It's also an antioxidant, so you should be taking it every day. I take it every day. Vitamin C is very important for your immune system and your skin. Clarity factor is very important for reducing brain fog and keeping those neurons firing to maintain neuroplasticity. This will help with memory. It'll also help with you to be able to focus. This is for people that are working, that are in school, and also that are retired, because you want to get those neurons firing and keep those neurons connected. Turmeric. It's an antioxidant, but it also brings down inflammation. By bringing down inflammation, it'll help to heal the body and slow down the aging process. Ashwagandha controls blood glucose levels. Also brings down inflammation in the vascular system. Vitamin B complex, very important for metabolism, cellular metabolism, and it's very important for those first B vitamins, B1, 2, 3, 4, 5, very important for the mitochondrial health. If your mitochondria is running good, you got lots of energy. If it's not, your energy is going to be lower. So please go and get the B complex. On my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. I have vitamin D3, which is a gene expression cofactor. It helps get rid of cells that need to go through apoptosis, especially if they've been infected. D3 also helps with absorbing calcium. I have a multivitamin on my store. It's a very high quality vitamin and it's easy to digest. You should be taking this multivitamin every day. You need multivitamins. Why? Because you need cofactors for your enzymes so they can work properly. If you're not taking the right multivitamins, you're not going to have the cofactors to be able to have that cellular metabolism. So please go to my store and take this multivitamin. And lastly, get the digestive enzyme complex. This will help to break down carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. It'll lessen the load on your pancreas, because when we get older, our pancreas doesn't work as well. So this will help. In addition, if you work out regularly, you should be taking this to help with your recovery time. And this is fibrinolytic. There's enzymes in here that are fibrinolytic, which will break down clots, because they'll break up the fibrin in the clot. And it is proteolytic, which means that it'll break down glycoproteins. And this is important. I've told you this 4 years ago to take this because of the 2020 crisis, right? So improve your health, but also this is part of the protocol for the aftershock of 2020. In addition, please get the probiotic. This is the powdered version. I also have the capsule tablet version on the store. So I take the powdered version. It has a little cup. I put it in my food. I take it every day. You need a good gut biome for proper metabolism and energy. This is PNA.
The special edition of Hannity. Now, earlier today, former White House physician Ronnie Jackson gave an update on President Trump's health. 13 days after Trump was almost assassinated in Pennsylvania. Thank God the word almost is in there. In his letter, Ronnie Jackson corrected FBI Director Christopher Wray's remarks that Trump might not have been struck by a bullet. Ronnie Jackson said in part, quote, "There is absolutely no evidence that it was anything other than a bullet." And Trump himself took to Truth Social last night and called out Wray's testimony. After facing mounting pressure, the FBI clarified Director Wray's comments, saying, quote, "What struck former President Trump in the ear was a bullet, whether whole or fragmented into smaller pieces." What's the point? Fired from the deceased subject's rifle. Why was this not settled until today? This should have been their statement from the beginning, obviously. According now to a new report, the FBI is currently examining what they say are bullet fragments found at the scene. Here now with reaction, Fox News contributor Dr. Mark Siegel and Fox News contributor and former FBI special agent Nicole Parker. Nicole, we know multiple shots were fired. We know that it was one gunman. We know that Secret Service, the sniper team, shot back. We've got a photograph of the bullet, which might win, who knows, the Pulitzer Prize by the New York Times, coming at Trump. And it's a remarkable situation. We have Corey, who was killed, the two other attendees who were injured. So you've got speculation, strangely, from the FBI director. Is this the kind of thing that is going to help unite us? I'm still perplexed about why he is speculating about the nature of what struck President Trump.
This is absolutely abhorrent. His statement was absolutely inappropriate. It was unsympathetic. And I can tell you that we all witnessed it. It was live on television. This was a blatant and tragic assassination attempt. And I can tell you, as a former FBI special agent who worked violent crime, I was not trained to teach my victims or treat my victims/survivors in this manner. The FBI, you were supposed to have a victim-centered approach, and this was almost victim shaming. I mean, the director of the FBI was minimizing and pretty much diminishing what had occurred.
Yes,
and that
exactly.
is absolutely disgusting. It is abhorrent and it is wrong. And no victim should ever have to justify their injuries and their wounds, which is what President Trump had to do as a response to Director Wray's
If you've noticed, the mainstream media that is anti-Trump has been trying to delegitimize or de-emphasize the assassination attempt. Any president, no matter what party, or any candidate, no matter what party, if this happened to, it's wrong, because there's just too much of this in our political history, especially in modern times, from the 1960s onward.
Statement. It was wrong. It was blatant. Christopher Wray, you are not a doctor. You did not see President Trump. He was struck by a round to his ear. He could have been dead. President Trump is lucky to be alive. This is an assassination attempt. And for him to downplay it casts doubt in Americans' minds. It creates conspiracy theories. And it's absolutely just inappropriate and, quite frankly, irresponsible. He has no self-awareness. And this is the person you have leading the FBI. And that is not comforting to Americans.
Yeah, it's not just, irritating or mean. Dr. Siegel, it's dangerous, because there is this suggestion still that Trump can't be believed, that this is a dangerous thing, and that even the FBI, the implication is that for something that is a grievous wound, he was shot in the face, and that it's going to be downplayed. It almost signifies to the American people and to the unstable that there's still some kind of laughing in the background about what happened. For your experience, since we've got Ronnie Jackson saying that what he saw, what the hospital reported, was a bullet wound. Is there any reason why even medical professionals would misrepresent this? Or what do you think with the balance regarding an injury like this that's so public?
There's no question about what happened here, and it's clear that the FBI director is trying to downplay a miracle that Trump happened to turn his head at exactly the right moment. Even the New York Times concluded that this was a bullet. And I showed that video to Dr. Michael Baden, who, by the way, analyzed the Kennedy assassination. He says it's a bullet. Ronnie Jackson, who's an emergency room physician and treated this ear, says it's a bullet. He was admitted with the diagnosis of a bullet wound. There's no question at all that it's a bullet, and the FBI was on the scene afterwards. They know it's a bullet, and they had to correct the FBI director. This is a disgrace, as Nicole just said, because it's a deliberate attempt to downplay what's going on here. Similar, by the way, speaking of medical, similar to when Christopher Wray tried to say there's nothing wrong with President Biden. He should just do his job.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I really, in all honesty, Nicole, the statement from the FBI saying that a bullet struck President Trump was their second statement. Right after Wray's testimony, they put out the first statement which contributed to the vagary about what had happened. So it wasn't really even Ray just having a bad moment or being a jerk. They sent out a statement that said, that there was an assassination attempt and Trump was injured. Like he could have tripped, he fell on the ground, he was piled on by the Secret Service.
This is an example of what I was saying before. A lack of respect for the office and the ones that have held the office. There's this vitriol that just keeps on piling up. And there is a similarity between Kennedy and Trump, more so than Reagan and Trump.
But it was like he was injured, as though we just don't know. When we think about the Secret Service, they're also, we know they're understaffed. We have issues, clearly. They're investigating the same FBI that just did this statement. Do you have faith in us getting to the right answers at the end of this about what really happened?
Tammy, I always want to have hope and give Americans hope. I do believe that there are still good people out there trying to do the right thing in law enforcement. And I believe that there were people there that day that are speaking up. I think it's going to be whistleblowers that are going to come forward, that are going to piece things together for the American people who are going to say, you know what, that's just not accurate. And what I found interesting as a side note about Ray's testimony, he actually answered more questions than normal. But do you know why that was? It's because the FBI was at the center of the investigation. This time he was actually speaking about the U.S. Secret Service. When it's the FBI's dirty laundry, we don't really air that. But when it's somebody else's, we'll be transparent and we'll give answers to questions. And that's how it comes across the American people.
Right. The excellent point. And maybe it will be Dr. Siegel, we
it's a miracle.
Yeah, it was a miracle. I want to play John Bolton's take on Vance. I think it's an interesting situation on CNN here.
Our inside source that we're starting off with tonight has seen firsthand how much Donald Trump wants and needs to be in the center of every news cycle. Trump's former national security advisor, Ambassador John Bolton, is here. And Ambassador Bolton, just first off, what you're hearing from Donald Trump tonight as he is really trying to land a line of attack on Harris. Obviously, she's only been his challenger for a matter of days now. What do you make of how he's handled that so far?
Well, I think the rhetoric he's using is classic Trump. It's bitter and very personal, very insulting. I don't think it's so much the policy aspect, although I think that has to be part of it. Look, she's a California liberal. What else do you need to know? But for Trump, it's all about the person. And the vitriol that you see, I think, is for the next 100 days going to rise to the surface. That, to me, plays in Harris's favor, because I do think that a lot of people who haven't made up their minds yet, or at least considering who to vote for, are tired of Trump. He hasn't really won an election since 2016. If you look at how his approach is done for the Republican Party, lost control of the House in 2018, lost the election in 2020, no Republican wave in 2022. His approach may work for him. It doesn't work for others, and it may not work for him this time. I think people are really tired of it.
Yeah, even though on stage, I was just listening to him a few moments ago, he's still claiming he did win the 2020 election, which obviously he didn't. But, Ambassador Bolton, just given you worked with him, you saw how he talked about people. One thing that I've heard from Trump world people is concern that the attacks will go from what Kristen was just talking about, policies, to more of the personal, in the sense of her gender or her race. And I wonder if you think that is somewhere that in the next 100 days or so, we could see him go to.
Well, he can't stay away from it. He doesn't understand philosophy. He doesn't understand policy. He can read sentences and paragraphs his advisors put in front of him, but inevitably, he moves away from it into the personal attack. That's what it's about for him. and it's about who the dominant personality in the campaign is going to be. I really think Biden prevailed in 2020 because people just wanted quiet. They wanted what they felt was a safe pair of hands. And a large part of Biden's vulnerability until he withdrew was that he had moved to the left and didn't provide a safe pair of hands and didn't tone the rhetoric down. I don't think Trump's capable of anything else, and they can talk about strategy in the Trump campaign all they want. The real Trump will come through. That's Harris's opportunity. Just say things like unite the country and tone down the rhetoric. Most people aren't in the Washington Beltway. They don't care about politics. They just wish people would solve problems and leave them alone. Donald Trump never leaves you alone.
How much do you think he's been thrown off by getting a new challenger? When a week ago, he thought he had Biden. They thought it was going to be a cakewalk. I mean, people were using words like landslide kind of election. What do you think that looks like inside the campaign tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been a complete reversal of the moods inside the two parties. I think after the Republican convention, which was very well done, I do think there would have been a convention bounce even in a closely divided electorate. I think the choice of J.D. Vance will prove to be a historical mistake. It doesn't add a single thing that Trump doesn't already get. And I don't think they were ready for Biden. They can say they've been considering the options, but they didn't really imagine it. They thought they had Biden as the opponent. The opposite's really happening in the Harris campaign. The Democratic Party has gone from despondency to being swept up in the rapture in 6 days, and they need to calm down.
Well, I want to pick up on what you said about J.D. Vance, but on the strategy for a moment, Vivek Ramaswamy urged Republicans earlier on Twitter saying, stop calling them
Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the structural nano silver soaps that I have. I have many different varieties. This one I have in my hand is the charcoal tea tree. Also, it is very important to get 3 cycles of REM sleep a night. You should be taking my good night formula every night. If you're having problems sleeping, it has tryptophan and melatonin in it and a lot of other different ingredients. So please go to the store to take a look at them. But it is important to get the 3 cycles of REM sleep for consolidation of memory, to detoxify your body, and to have the restful sleep that you need to have more energy in the morning. It's very important. So if you're having problems sleeping, which many people in the United States do, please go to the store and get the Good Night formula and be taking it. I have a new product on my store. It's the olive leaf extract. This helps with the immune system and circulation. So it'll help with cardiovascular health. So please go to the store and get the olive leaf extract. You should be taking this. I also have a new product on the store. It's zeolite. Zeolite will bind to heavy metals, toxins, and other chemicals. How do you get these chemicals in your body or toxins? Through processed foods, through chemical fertilizers, even unfiltered water. So you want to try to detoxify your body. You should be detoxifying your body once a year, maybe even twice a year. So this is a great way to detoxify your body. Now, how this works is it has a negative charged molecule, and it will attach to positively charged molecules that are heavy metals, toxins, and chemicals. If you are on any medication that your doctor's prescribing, please talk to your doctor first before detoxifying your body. Because when you detoxify your body, it may affect the efficacy of your medication. So before you do any detoxification process, you need to talk to your doctor first if you're on any pharmaceuticals. So, but for the ones that want to detoxify their body and they're okayed by their doctor, or you're healthy and you want to detoxify your body, you should be doing this once or twice a year. Some people do it all year round. This is the type of zeolite that you can take all year. Some zeolite out there you can't take all year. But the point here is that to soak up those chemicals and those heavy metals and those toxins. And by doing that, you will be able to bind to those positive charged, and about 6 to 8 hours later, that binding of the toxins will be excreted out of your body through urination. So, so how I do this is that I take a few drops of this and I swallow it. You put it under your tongue and you just swallow it, and do that every day until the whole bottle's gone, and then I'm done for a year. You can do that twice a year if you want. There's some people that will take just 1 drop a day and take it for the whole year. So there's many ways to do this. You can do it the light way or a little bit more aggressive way. It's up to you, but this is important to be able to detoxify your body. I recommend that people should be detoxifying their body through detoxifying their kidney, detoxifying their liver, detoxifying their colon, and detoxifying heavy metals. That's just, I think, doing that once or twice a year is really important to get. Once you get to a certain health level, you don't have to detoxify your body as much. I'm at that point in my life. Some people are not. So it's important to detoxify. Colon cleanse, kidney cleanse, liver cleanse. Now, I don't do the heavy duty liver cleanse. I do a light liver cleanse where it's just some cold pressed herbs solution where you put it under your tongue, and you do that for a month, and it helps with the liver. Same thing with the kidney. But other people do a little bit more aggressive cleanses. But it's important that if you do these cleanses, you're going to start noticing your body is working better, and, just keep that in mind, but don't overdo it. And if you're taking the zeolite, make sure you talk to your doctor first if you're on medication, because you don't want the zeolite to neutralize your medication. So please go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. I also have C60. C60 is a great antioxidant. You can get it in the 2 ounce, a 4 ounce, or an 8 ounce configuration. You can get it in extra virgin olive oil. You can get it in MCT coconut oil or avocado oil. So get the C60. C60 is a very strong antioxidant. It soaks up those free radicals and boosts up the mitochondrial health. When you do that on a regular basis, you're going to see the compound effects of slowing down the aging process and getting more energy.
And to step down, because it would only make Harris look good, because then she'd be running as an incumbent, essentially. He said, stop attacking her for locking up too many people as a prosecutor. He says that benefits her as a law and order candidate. And he said that they need to point out was pointing out the logical problem and saying that she's part of this cover-up of Biden's age, but also that she staged a coup. And I just wonder, given we are hearing some of those simultaneous arguments from some in your party, if you also see it that way, that they're kind of trying to have it both ways in how they're figuring out how to go after her.
Well, I hadn't seen those comments by Vivek Ramaswamy before, but I have to say I agree with all of them. You don't advance the cause by going after a target that's no longer on the range. It may make Trump feel good. It may make his supporters feel good. Biden is a side issue now. We should worry about what he may do in his lame duck period, but he's not the opponent anymore. And it may make people feel good to attack him. It doesn't advance the Trump campaign's objective. And this is one of the things I think that most disturbs Trump, is that really talking about Joe Biden stealing the 2020 election is very much yesterday. And it's a lot harder to pin it on Kamala Harris. And that was always one of the central elements of Trump's rally speeches.
Yeah, and on the VP pick, you just said you believe that picking J.D. Vance will end up being a historical mistake. Obviously, you two have very different views on foreign policy. He's very much an isolationist camp. But why do you think it'll be a mistake?
Look, Vance barely won the Senate race in Ohio. He performed way behind Governor Mike DeWine's reelection victory. He doesn't add anything really outside of the Trump orbit already. It was a pick that surprised me, frankly, because I do think that Trump was indicating he wanted J.D. Vance to be the heir apparent, something I didn't think Trump would do for a long time. But now that he's got his heir apparent, how does that benefit him with the people who are going to vote for him already? Not at all. How does it benefit him for the people who might consider him? Not very much. He does have the youth factor, but ironically, that underlines Trump's age. And I do think that's going to, now that Biden is out of the race, that's going to be a real subject of conversation.
Well, he's also getting a lot of blowback on comments that he made before, talking about the government being run by childless cat ladies and really going after people, essentially arguing that people who don't have children don't have as vested of an interest in the government. Anthony Scaramucci was here last night. He predicted Trump could end up.
I am just so tired of the Jerry Springer show in our politics.
Dumping Vance as his running mate. Do you see that? Is that a possibility at all in your view?
I think that's very unlikely. I mean, I think he's stuck with him now. And I think these comments by Vance are really the 2024 counterpart of Hillary Clinton's famous statement in the 2016 election, where she called Trump's supporters deplorables. I mean, if politicians can't learn, it's one thing to attack your opponent. It's another thing to attack your opponent's supporters. And that's just not a way to win friends and influence people. I don't think Vance learned the lesson that Hillary Clinton, unfortunately for herself, learned in 2016. That's going to hurt Trump as you get closer to the election.
That's about as damning of a comment that you can hear from a Republican, that something that someone said is equal to what Hillary Clinton said in 2016 about the basket of deplorables. Ambassador John Bolton, thank you.
Glad to do it.
Jerry Springer show, that's what it is on CNN. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and help support PNN so I can take down CNN. Go to my store and get the lignans. This is a powder. You mix it with your food. It's very important. It will help to boost up your immune system. This is extremely important for longevity, anti-aging, getting through the aftershock of 2020. A boosted immune system is really important, all right? In addition, it also helps with hormonal health for males and females. So please go to my store and get this and add it to your protocol for getting healthy, all right? I take this every day. You should be taking it every day. You need to boost up your immune system. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. I have partnered up with Rainbow Herbals, and we've developed these different deodorant bars. Now, this one is in peppermint, lavender, and tea tree, and this one here is in citrus. These are made from essential oils from the Himalayas, and they have no aluminum in it and no baking soda in it. Very high quality, extremely high quality. All my products are high quality. This is extremely high quality deodorant that helps to slowly detoxify your body. So you use this every day. It's for males and females. Get a couple bars of this for your household. And you'll be very happy with the high quality that you get with it. I'm about dual purpose products, all right? And things that work synergistically in a stack. That's the key for proper health. You're not going to get healthy if you only take D3. You're not going to get healthy if you only take a multivitamin. You have to stack it, and you have to add stuff to it, like proper sleep, proper diet, proper exercise, filter your water, stretch, train your brain. And when you do that on a continual basis, you'll see the compound effects of slowing the aging process and you having more vitality. There's no silver bullet. Anyone that's saying that, they're wrong. But what you can do is stack. And by stacking, there's synergistic effects that leads to better health. So please take my advice. You know, I do this every day. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the products that I offer. I will be releasing next month 5 new products that you're going to be very happy to add to your health routine to boost up energy, slow down the aging process, help with your liver and many other things. So stay tuned for that. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to all my channels.